however successful you become, how much money you earn, and how many people you impress with your art, nothing is going to matter, any of this, if you're not able to fall in love with your own creations. Now, what that actually means and why it is so important for you, we are going to cover in today's episode of Artful Maestro. Hello and welcome to the Artful Maestro podcast. I am your host, Nenad Leonart, and I am so happy to be here with you, taking on the challenges as classical musicians of the 21st century. Now, as you've known, I have been working at this for the last 5 years or even more, educating myself, getting better, trying out new things, creating a video production company for musicians, blowing up on social media, being the biggest profile in my niche with over 70,000 subscribers, playing in different countries, securing jobs that are paying the bills so I can do this full time, and so on. And talking to my friends, talking to many classical musicians, I noticed that there's a huge gap in all the knowledge that we have as musicians around the world. And there's so many techniques that are not being taught to us properly. So what the purpose is of Artful Maestro podcast, of my coaching and training other classical musicians to do the same that I did, well, it is the dream of having classical music all around the world. We're kind of dying out a little bit. And especially with these new technologies, we have so much potential that is not yet been realized, of reaching so many people, of touching their hearts, of playing music for them and getting them excited for classical music. I remember when I was small, how much I loved listening to my Beethoven CDs and Chopin sonatas, and it was even like a vinyl of Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue that I listened over and over again. And how cool would that be for other young people to discover the same excitement towards music, the same love to this thing that kind of made my life really awesome. And I hope that it can make lives of other people really awesome as well. In today's episode, we are going to talk about why this excitement and also the love and also all these beautiful feelings that we kind of have towards music, why it's so important to keep it up as we go along on our career paths, and what kind of can happen if we don't, and why it's maybe wise to rethink a couple of decisions that we have been doing in the past. Now, before we dive into it, let me quickly mention the Artful Shop. That's a way how you can support this podcast, how you can actually sponsor and also get out a little bit something for yourself or for some friends of yours. Now, the Artful Shop is a place where you can go and get merchandise for other musicians, for even if you want to have a new bag or like a new awesome cup of coffee, you just gotta get a mug with some cool things imprinted on it. Everything is music themed. Everything is really geared towards stylish classical musicians. So go and check out the Artful Shop. And when you are buying something at the checkout, you can also use the promo code Artful5 for a 5% discount off your whole order. So let's talk about loving your creations. When we get into the world of music, when we kind of start doing all of this, we are not necessarily met with much love. In the beginning, yeah, that's one of the reasons why we started out. You know that every kind of famous person that kept through with music, they had this warm, loving teacher in the beginning. They did kind of this research and studies, and usually it was some kind of a motherly figure or somebody with a great heart. And they weren't necessarily the best at music, but they were the best at love. And helping a small child discover this passion for the music. Now, as we've grown up, there has been kind of more and more competition laid onto it, and everybody's saying how hard and harsh the music business can be. So it's always about, hey, you know what? You need to be the best, because if you aren't, you're out of here, right? So be the best that you can, always, all the time. And musicians are some of the hardest working people I know. There's very few other professions that go nearly into this depth, into this pressure, into this kind of development issues where it's taking up so many different resources from your body, but also from your psyche, from your family, from your private life. So a lot of sacrifices obviously have to be made to even consider becoming a professional musician. Some people regret those. And one of the challenges that I think is that they have faced, am I loving what I do still? Like, can I fall in love with my artistic creation? And at some point along the way, for them, the answer was no. At some point along the way, they kind of got lost in the success, in the money, in the networking, in the contacts, in the performing, in the preparations. And the magic that once was there, and this beautiful, beautiful thing, it got erased. It disappeared, never to be found again. Many of them having frustrated lives, many of them trying to fill the void with something else. I know a couple of professional musicians who are really, really sliding down into alcohol or other substance abuse. And it's not really something that tends to get better. Usually, even over the years, there is the age decline. So the body starts to get softer, more tired, easily, quickly tired. And then it's kind of even more difficult to do the performing that you used to. And yet there are some people that even at 80 years of age perform miraculously, wondrously, and are just an inspiration for everybody there. Like, you can tell that they are still developing as an artist. And obviously they have done a lot of things right. They have placed the energy in the right place. They have done the right decisions. They have maybe course corrected the path when they took a wrong turn or something. And they are actually, that's what I call living the dream. I don't really, like, deep down, I don't care for a career if the whole world knows about me, but I'm not happy with my career. I don't really care if everybody says what a great person I am, but deep inside, I would feel like a phony, a fraud. What if the fame and this external validation for so many people was something that they carried on from their early childhood? I know for me it was. I know that I always had this expectation that other people should find that I am great and that I'm awesome and that I'm unique and how special I am, right? So go check me out and see of all the great things that I am, what an awesome human being I am. And that's kind of called compensation. When you have something that is lacking in your own life, again, I know it was with me, there was a hole that I tried to fill with everything, with success, with other people, with romantic conquests, with performing on a higher and higher and higher level. Everything I tried to stuff down that hole just so I could feel something that I wasn't able to feel. And it never really helped. It always became a struggle. It always became like this goal that it seemed like I got it, and then there was this short burst of awesome, let's celebrate. But then after a day or two, everything kind of faded back to normal, and I was back at the place where I was before, which wasn't really, if I'm being honest, a really, really happy place. So, okay, there was this urge to go and move forward and become better and do more things and increase the productivity, increase the results, earn more money, play more concerts, and so on and so on. Obviously, you can also tell that I did the same thing with my social media, where I strived to, how do I get more people? And I remember having distinct crises before I actually made the switch and made the click inside of me, what it was that was bugging me. I remember being almost desperate for these social media numbers, almost like, I'm not going to have a fulfilled life if I don't get these numbers. You know, like, I have to have them. Oh my God, I have to. It's like this crazy child that's being super obnoxious before Christmas. Like, I need to have this present and just this present, and that's... So it took me a long while to realize these things. Okay. When I have this hole and I try to fill it up with some stuff, I'm starting to compromise my own values because I'm needing external validation. I want people from outside to give me something that I am not able to give to myself. That was the huge realization. I need external stuff, energy, validation, approval, money, success, appreciation, love, attention, time, everything. I need it. So give me more, because I'm not able to do that myself, and I actually feel pretty broken inside. That's the reality of how it was for a very, very long time for me. And looking back at it now, I think, yeah, that was pretty sad. And also, man, am I happy to have had realized that and to be able to breathe through it and just get out of that hamster wheel. So now when I look back at it, and also when I look at my future life, my values have not necessarily shifted. So I still value the same things, but I prioritize them in a different order because I don't have this uncontrollable urge for the approval of other people. And I don't think that I necessarily need to become somebody or something or be famous or earn a certain amount of money so that my life makes sense and that I can actually be really happy and fulfilled. It's kind of going into the other direction, which is awful to admit sometimes to classical musicians, because they're going to go like, but I want the fame. Don't teach me stuff that I need it. I want it. Yes. Wait a minute. You will see that the fame actually comes much easier to you once that you realize this procedure. I got the most followers not when I was in that needy state of gimme validation, but actually after I realized all that mechanism and I could be one step above it and not be ruled by it. But actually, I had the freedom to create and to fall in love with what I was creating. Because I didn't have this hole in me that was nagging at me all the time, trying to get approval. Once that I freed myself from this need to get approval, I could create things that I approved myself of. And that in turn meant something else to the people who were seeing my content, who were seeing what I was producing. And then they said, wow, that's nice. Let me jump onto that train as well. So kind of success, really sustainable success, starts with self-love, with self-acceptance, and with knowing thyself, right? This is why it is so important to understand this point. But let us back up a little bit and look at it from the side of what actually happens if you don't do that. What it happens if you still need this external validation. So many people that are caught in this hamster wheel, they're measuring everything with what comes from outside, right? And now there is a chemical reaction that we have in our brains, and we always receive dopamine when we get kind of in a reward state, okay? That's when we eat something sweet, like we get some sugar, or with substances, of course, like caffeine, alcohol, drugs, nicotine, whatever you want, like all the substances that we use to put in our bodies, they kind of mess up our dopamine. So we get these dopamine spikes. And whenever you get a spike, you probably know that then there's a backlash after that, which leaves you hanging even more. And if you kind of want to go and look into this, dopamine is really fascinating to learn how it works, how our motivation works. Like it's at the basis of our motivation. And how these kind of surges in our body make us do things that we kind of think we're doing out of our free will, but we are more or less conditioned by our body and by our psychology that is running in the background, not the stuff that is present, not like our awareness, but the stuff from the background is running the show, and how it's making us do all these things throughout the day just through conditioning. So if you don't know how this dopamine game works, actually, we might even do a podcast episode on that one, because that's a pretty cool mechanism to learn about. If you don't know how it actually works, you are going to go out through the world, live your day, and you're going to be led by all these weird external things kind of happening to you, but never really having control over it. You might struggle to get control over it, but you will lose that game. And all the people that I told you that are kind of unhappy with their life, even if they have quote-unquote success, what happens to them, why they are unhappy, is because they're in this cycle of dopamine. So once they get one kick, let's say they play a concert for $1,000. The first time that they played it and they've never achieved it, that's like a huge dopamine spike. The next time they play one, it's not as high as it was the first time, because there's already some desensitization going on. And there's also a little bit of expectancy. So these are different mechanisms that are running. It's just that the second time you do it, it's not as special. And the third time you do it, it is even less special. And after a while, you kind of lose the peaks of dopamine. So a person who is not feeling well to begin with, they're very low, right? So they need these peaks of dopamine to feel good. What's going to happen is they will strive and try to make the peaks stronger and stronger and stronger. Just to feel more. Just to get more into the zone of, oh yeah, this is cool. This is me living the life, right? This is reward. This is great. This is awesome. And first of all, they're pushing the boundary for themselves. So everything else that is kind of normal, or that is kind of usual level, that's yeah, just quote unquote normal for your body, for your energy, for everything, it feels like completely mundane. And you don't even want to have something to do with it because you're striving for that next peak. It's actually an addiction. It's the same thing that happens with people who have an addiction. And guess what? We have dopamine spikes and surges when we're using our phones as well. When you go and check your email, when you go and check your messages, every time a new message comes in, it's dopamine. And this is us doing it to ourselves. You know what happens when you go higher and higher and higher and higher and you're trying to keep up with the spikes? At a certain point, the body just can't handle it anymore. At a certain point, there's the level of, I'm done. I cannot squeeze more dopamine out of me. I cannot contort my body into doing more absurd things just to get to this next level. And then there's the crash. And the crash is known as burnout. It's a fancy name for a very, very mundane thing that is happening to all of us. I would argue that 99.9 people right now, they are burning out. And we don't even know it because it feels so normal. But probably if you remember a time where we didn't have these smartphones, where we didn't have this many messages, this many advertisement, email, all the thing that's going on around us, when you think back to a easier, more relaxed time, you will also remember that you had much more reserves. You didn't get to be as stressed, have like a short fuse, and get angry at anything. You would be much more calm and ready to handle every situation that came your way. Now we are more and more, all of us, onto the edge, and there's people just breaking down regularly. And the reason is not that we are having bad nutrition, which we do. The reason is not that we are sleeping badly, which we are. The reason is not that there's, through the globalism, a lot of sicknesses and germs going around and everybody getting sick. It's not about that. The main reason, although all of the others are certainly valid for certain things, the main reason is that we are not taking care of our dopamine household. We have no concept for it. We have no idea what's going on there. And to be honest, nobody even is willing to teach it. And the dirty secret why that is because once you know how that works, you're kind of out of the matrix. You're not susceptible anymore to advertisement. You're not susceptible anymore to information overload because you have like some self-regulating systems in your body. Let's say you were an advertisement firm or like a huge company that wants to sell stuff. It is in your best interest that people don't feel well and that they're looking for these dopamine spikes because then it's easier for you to sell to them. When people are not with themselves, when people are in the external and always looking at the external stuff, the external validation, the external information, everything, just put it in, and getting these dopamine spikes. Again, you get, like as an addiction, you get to a low. And what's the thing that is going to help you out of the low? The next dopamine spike. And guess what? We have the best product for it. Here, just give us some money and we'll send you this awesome thing that will allegedly make your life better. But again, we all know you get the thing, 2-3 days, you're happy with it, and then you forgot because the spike is back down. That's what's going on, and that's why nobody who wants to make money on a corporate level is going to help you with it. It's the opposite. They want you to spend more and feel more bad. So it's this vicious cycle over and over again. If you want to make something really, really good for yourself, you need to step out of that mechanism. You really need to step out of it. And here's a story of a person that I found particularly inspiring. I was fortunate enough to have lived with him, so he was my roommate for a couple of years, and many things I did not understand at the time where we lived together, but somewhat in retrospect, and I feel very, very privileged to have someone like him in my life that kind of gave me a couple life lessons without really wanting to teach me and without even saying anything, but just like by living those things, I got to profit. So what he was doing is being always in the moment, not caring for anything else, and being extremely excited about everything. He was always in the moment because he basically never looked at his phone, and he also tried to put his own things first, like the priority. When he was up in the morning, he did like his kind of routine, breakfast and all, and then he went to practice. And he would be practicing, not getting disturbed, and he took the time as long as he wanted to, as long as he needed to, whatever was required of him to himself, he would do that. Then he never cared about anything else that was going on, which is particularly interesting for me because I always strive to be this good student, like do every subject do really well, learn a lot, be flexible, be creative, be everywhere, accumulate all the knowledge. He was very picky. He said, I don't care about all of that. I'm just going to focus on very, very small things that I'm going to put the priority as high as possible, which are the things that I want to focus on. And all the rest, fuck all. So he did not care about these things at all, which is pretty funny. I really thought that that's like his biggest weakness at the time. And today I think that was the biggest strength, because not only did it give him more life quality and more confidence in doing what he was already doing. He wasn't all over the place, like, for example, I was. He wasn't trying to make everybody happy like I was. He was more like, I'm trying to make myself happy by doing the things that are required of me. Everything else is not so important. And it comes to the last thing, which was he was always so excited by basically everything. And I don't mean like everything. You couldn't go with anything to him and tell him, and he was like, oh, wow, that's cool. It wasn't like that, but it was like something that in any way remotely connected to what he was doing, but especially the things that he was doing. He was so passionate about them. He spoke with such almost childlike wonder and curiosity and, hey, do you know what I've discovered today? Or this was awesome. Or like some small details that for me, again, who was running around, it was like completely uninteresting. Like, why, if you lift your finger like that, I don't care if you lift your finger like that or like this, or for me, it needs to work. And why are you even testing this like super small detail that nobody's going to notice and nobody cares about? But he cared. He cared for these things because that was his passion. That was what he was interested in. And today he's gone on to become certified. It's a very, very, very unique teacher for piano technique. He's helping people all around the world, and he's becoming more successful every day. And it was so awesome for me to see like this path that he took for the last 10 years or 12 years or something, like since I've known him. It's really, really inspiring, and to see how these decisions pan out. He has to do much less work right now than most of the people I know, because he invested in the right things at the moment. And funnily enough, the right things were those that were feeling the most natural to him, that he kind of fell in love with, that he was excited about, and he actually listened to his voice. And there's so many examples out there. There is so many wonderful musicians. Then when you ask them like, hey, what's your recipe? By the way, I also asked, like when I started out with social media, I asked everybody, hey, what's your recipe? How did you get the many followers? And everybody said, do what you love to do, and the people will follow. And I thought to myself, that's stupid advice. That's... what? Tell me what you do, man. I want to know. I want to get the followers. And the answer always was, do what you love to do, and the success will follow. Couple years later, today, I completely understand what they meant by this. When you go on this way, when you do whatever in life, it's not going to be easy. Especially in terms of music, where there's so much competition. When you want to market yourself, when you want to put yourself out there, you need power, a really deep-rooted source of power inside of you. And you need that power that is going to hold you in the darkest moments. You need a power that is going to help you through some of the most difficult times that you will experience. Because if you want to be successful, if you want to go to the top of what you are doing, you need to be willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do. You absolutely must do the things that others are not willing to do. And everybody's different, but this will mean that you will have to perform some tasks, or change your mindset, or change your beliefs, everything that you do in certain parts, and there's going to be a ton of resistance. And what most people do, they give up. They say, oh, you know what? This is too hard. So you've got to be willing to do whatever it takes to get to the point where you want to go. If you're not willing to do whatever it takes, you probably don't want to start out in the first place, because that's just not cutting it. That's just not going to be good enough, because there will come a point where it's going to be too hard, and then you're going to quit. So if you truly want to make this happen, you need to make this commitment to yourself. I'm going to do whatever it takes, whatever, so that I can reach my goal, and that I can become successful with what I want to do. And the only one recipe that is going to pull you through all of this, that's going to be your love for yourself and the art that you create. As we've previously talked, all that dopamine, all that chemical reactions, all the reward systems, they are just not going to be good enough. And even if you make it, you will feel empty. Do it for the right reasons. Do the right thing for the right reasons. And deep, deep down, you know what's going on. Deep, deep down, you know what you have love for, what you have passion for, and what you really want to do. This isn't an excuse, by the way. There's a lot of people misunderstanding this quote, and especially Gen Z and so on. They are, kind of very quick to give up. They go to a new job and they say, oh, you know what? This is not my purpose. I don't love this. And then they quit. There's going to be a ton of stuff that you are not going to love along the way. The world is made in that way. There's no way that every part of the way is going to be just songs and dances and birds and meadows to play around. No, it is going to be hard. And the harsher the competition, the more harder it's going to be. But, and that's the but, if you have enough love for the thing that you do, if you really, really care about it, you can pull through these times that are not as comfortable, that are maybe not as exciting, that are kind of mundane, that are not what you thought they would be. Just if you are willing to do everything for it, and this is fueled by your passion. So how do you discover what you're actually excited by? How do you discover this love or this passion inside of you if you don't have it right now? If you don't know what you feel inspired to do? If you don't know where to go from here? Because believe me, I talk to a lot of people who, some of them are my clients, some of them are my friends. As a coach, I hear this all the time. What's the purpose? I don't feel inspired. I don't feel motivated. How do you get up in the morning? I just try to get by with my life. I just try to survive. And I think to myself, oh my God, I so feel for you. I know what it means to get up in the morning and just try to get by, pull through the day and say, I survived another one. That's being pulled from a place of lack. That's being pulled from a place where you need more to fill that hole inside of you. And that is a part of you screaming for, please stop. Please stop. It's too much. The reason why it's too much is that all this dopamine that you're getting through the day and all these decisions that you've made up until now, they're not giving you the satisfaction that you would be having. Now, that doesn't mean that you are not on the right path. You could be very well on the right path, but just have had circumstances set up in a way where they're not benefiting you, but they're kind of destroying you. Depending on how you feed your brain, whom you communicate with, what's going on in your life, like how much you read the news, how much all of that is affecting you, all of those things ultimately result in your mental well-being. And understanding that your mental well-being is going to make or break your career, because ultimately that's what it's making it sustainable. It doesn't matter if you have one success, if you completely crash and burn after it. What you want to have is a solid foundation. And that solid foundation is love, and it's passion, and it's excitement and it's wonder, like this actual childlike wonder, going back to when you maybe started playing your instrument, when you started discovering this world, when you started getting excited by every little thing and go like, wow, this is awesome. So how do you get there? How do you get there if you feel uninspired, if you feel broken, if you don't have the motivation to get up in the morning and just start doing like apparently everybody else is? It's by taking a step back. It's by taking a few steps back and allowing yourself to feel yourself. There is different methods that I work with people, because you need to do this on many levels. It's not just, okay, I'm going to stop reading the news and then I'm going to get better because I don't get bombarded by these informations, or I'm just going to turn off my phone and it's going to be okay. Or I'm going to go into nature and it's going to be okay. These are some kind of parts, or maybe like developments along the way. But the very first step is to, again, step back and actually allow love to happen. Before you can fall in love with your creations, with your art, with everything that you do, you need to fall in love with yourself first. Same goes with relationships, of course. Probably you've heard this by many people, like you cannot love somebody else if you're not able to love yourself. And it also applies to art. You cannot love what you are doing if you don't love yourself. That's the first step. And then it's having the knowledge, the wisdom, and the discipline to set mechanisms in place so that your body gets what it needs. It can be healthy. You can get just the right amount of information, not too much, not too little. You can set your priorities straight. You can have good sleep. You can have good nutrients, just wonderful food that's actually healthy and sustainable. And once you have set these things in place, you're able to be continuously inspired in your work, and you're able to put stone after stone after stone on this foundation of yours that is going to become your career, and that is going to define your life and your impact on this world. Now, I know it is not an easy way to go. I myself have had help along the way. I have had wonderful friends and a great family who has supported me along the way, who have been there at my side. I have had mentors who have helped me climb these ladders. Sometimes it wasn't as fun. Sometimes I couldn't. Then I crashed. Then I picked myself up again and kept on moving. And I'm extremely grateful to be at the place where I am today, where I get to feel inspired every single day. Well, almost every single day. There's once in a while, there's this day where I don't feel as motivated. But guess what? I have the freedom to allow myself to not be motivated and to just do whatever I want, because I'm so well on track with this other stuff that it's fine. And I have the freedom to be myself more and more every day. And I'm incredibly grateful for the support that I got. And that is also why I want to support as many people as possible who are going through this kind of transformation. I'm helping classical musicians, I'm coaching them, but also I've created the Inner Circle community, which is kind of the support group where people can go there And they talk to each other, and they talk about their vulnerabilities. They talk about their challenges. They talk about what they want out of life as a classical musician, and try to exchange information and also emotion with each other, how tough it is, but also how rewarding it is. Celebrating every success that they get, celebrating every little part of, yeah, good for you. You know how jealous people are out there? If you tell it to your colleagues that you won something or that you have a new accomplishment, they go like, yeah, sure, good for you. But wouldn't it be great to have people who actually care about your success? Wouldn't it be great to go to a place where you are not being pushed down, but actually supported? And you become an inspiration for others because they know if you can do it, I can do it as well. I've talked to a friend of mine who's also a coach. He lives in the Netherlands. And he told me about himself being in this lowest point of his life. He fathered a daughter. He was smoking pot all the time. He was not even present. He was so much in apathy that one day when he showed up to work, his boss took him aside and he said, "Hey, is everything all right with you? Like, you look dead inside, man." And he was completely devastated. Like, he didn't know where to go, what to do. And what he told me, like what saved his life and what actually even helped him to take that step, was that he went into a mentoring program with a coach. And that coach kind of talked about what he went through, what was his path in life. And he thought to himself, oh, well, if he can do it, maybe I can do it as well. Because I know these feelings. I feel the same way. So if they were able to do it, that's my shot to try and do it. Fast forward a couple years later, he went through the mentoring program. He then wanted to become a coach himself. He did a certification program. That's when I met him. We got to hang out. We got to coach together. We got to train people together. We got to do, he came here to Switzerland. We traveled a few days just showing him around the country. It was really, really cool. And this guy is transformed. Like, he is living his life now and also improving himself every day, right? We are never finished. We're never at the top. There's always something new coming up and some way where we can say, oh, I guess I can love myself a little bit better. And I think that's all there is. I think it's about the journey and having the support that you need. So feel free to reach out to me if you need some support, if you need some words of encouragement, if you just want to share something, just drop it in the comments or send me an email or join the community. You can find the link down below and share of who you are, share of what makes you tick, share of your inspiration, because honestly, it's an inspiration to us all. And that's the future that I dream of all of us helping each other grow, become better persons, become just better at everything that we do, and be able to share more and more and more love. Ultimately, it's not about fame or about money. This is what I'm going to leave you with. They have found, like in psychology, they've done studies, like money makes you happier as long as you don't have your basic needs met. Like every dollar you earn until you have your needs met, like your basic needs, it's going to make you happier and happier and happier and happier. And once you get over that threshold, like once you have your basic needs met, it doesn't matter how much you earn. It does really not matter how much you earn. I heard this with a talk with a psychology professor and Simon Sinek just a few days ago, where they talked about purpose and happiness and fulfillment in life. And they also brought up this example, like once you have your basic needs met, you don't need money. Once you have like your inner circle of friends, of peers that you can associate with, that you can socialize with, that people that you like to be around with, you don't need more fame. You don't need more approval. Like, that's not going to make you happier. Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it can make you really, really unhappy. And so the foundation for a solid and happy life, which, by the way, they tested, like they did a study with people for a span of over 80 years, like from when they were born up until they died. They were checking in with them. They were looking at their life quality, who was happier, who was doing more. And it was the ones that didn't go for a lot of money, that didn't need the fame, but they were just kind of more balanced, that they just socialized, that they had the people around who they loved, that they loved what they were doing, and that they felt like they were contributing to a world. They weren't just doing it for themselves or for the money or to go home and then go on vacation. They were contributing to the world while having their basic needs met. And I think that's a wonderful, wonderful piece of wisdom that we can leave here with today. Just having the reassurance that if you do what you do out of love, and if you can always reconnect to that love, you are going to be fine. And I really hope for each and every listener to this podcast, and I hope for you, that you can reconnect with this deep, deep love for yourself, and let it flourish also into love for your work, and that you have a great, great time. You got a lot out of this episode, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.